So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the components viewer and the components section of our UI in App Inventor 2. So our components viewer is our middle section. It's our most prominent section. Essentially what it does is it houses all of our parts from our palette section. App Inventor 2 doesn't actually like to call these parts though, they like to call them components. So just to make sure that you don't get confused, all of these parts that we spoke of in the last video, App Inventor 2 likes to refer to as components. And actually, I'm going to be using that terminology in the following video so I don't confuse you. So, as I've said, the viewer houses all of these parts. Essentially, what the viewer will show you is your user interface for your application. I want to note, though, that some of these parts are visible and some of them are not. Another thing to note is that oftentimes, the way our components are laid out in our viewer is not necessarily how they're going to look when we actually run our application on the phone. So that's our components viewer. Essentially, we just drag and we drop into there, and you'll notice a little blue line appears. Great. So now, where is our components section? Well, our components section is the section to the right of our components viewer. It's right here. And essentially, this components section is a running list of all of the components we have in our viewer. So if I were to drag a time picker, a date picker, and a list view in, they would show up on this components section. In the components view, or components section, it would allow us to very easily rename and delete these components. Because as our projects grow, it's going to become very cumbersome to look at a lot of generic names in our component section. So we're going to want to make sure that we keep on top of renaming things exactly what they are so that later on when we're going into our blocks, we know exactly what we're manipulating. So that is the component viewer and the component section in a nutshell. I hope that all made sense to you, and I will see you in the next video.